Forced labor or pursuit of a better life? That's the title of an investigation report published on March the 23rd by two Chinese researchers. After talking to ethnic minority workers working outside Xinjiang, what have they discovered? How was the investigation conducted? Is freedom and welfare of minority workers guaranteed? I'm pleased to be joined by the authors themselves, Niloufer Gayeret and Chen Ning, both visiting research fellows at the Institute for Communication and Borderland Governance of Jinan University in southern China. Ladies, welcome to The Point. Niloufer, let me go to you first. Why did you want to do such an investigation in the first place?
Okay, last April, we came across a research report conducted by the Australian Strategic Policy Institute entitled Uyghurs for Sale, Re-Education, Forced Labor and Surveillance Beyond Xinjiang. Through the interpretation of second-hand data such as documents, satellite image, media reports, and a case study of 3 companies that hired Xinjiang Uyghur workers, the report argues that the Chinese government's labor transfer policy as an extension of forced labor and so-called re-education camps. Being native of Xinjiang and social science researcher, the report's allegations are really serious and shocking. We believe that in today's world, any form of forced labor is unacceptable. Forced labor is not in line with the requirements of Chinese relevant laws or regulations. And also it cannot enjoy the moral support. That we decided to do a multi-site fieldwork study to know the real situation of workers who are working in other provinces in person.
Chen Ning, let me interrupt you here. Chen Ning, let me hear from Chen Ning as well. Now, this research, as you said, is in reaction to the Australian paper Uyghurs for Sale, which uses open source Chinese language documents, satellite imagery analysis, academic research, and on-the-ground media reports. So, Chen Ning, how did you conduct your investigation to make sure that you're getting first-hand accurate information?
I think for academic research, the method Andre then used is not enough to support his arguments. So I think we conducted the interviews using the mother tongue. The interviewees who are using is very important. As academic research, we cannot just use the second-hand materials. We have to go to the field to do the field work and to do the solid interviews in order to do the solid research. And in person, I really want to say what's happening in these companies, what the situation are the workers in. So I want to do the more solid research. So I went to Guangzhou and go to the 5 companies to do the research.
Good. Niloufer, you mentioned in the report that you visited 5 companies recruiting Uyghur workers or other ethnic minority workers and interviewed 70 of these workers. How exactly did you choose your interviewees? Were there any obstacles during the investigation? For instance, you are being monitored or escorted by certain authorities that the people are not able to speak freely, or there are access that are off limit to you?
Okay, firstly, according to the basic requirement of the social science research, we picked the interviewees randomly, and absolutely not, we haven't met any authorities that they can't speak freely or anything like you mentioned. We went to these companies on our own and go everywhere we want in the factories and meet the workers in the product line, cafeterias, and their apartments. And after works, some of the interviewees, they invite us to have dinner with them in the restaurants near the factory that they often go. And some of them invite us to their home. They rent other apartments near the factory. So there's nothing like they can't speak freely or we can't go somewhere like that.
How did you deal with the language
that.
issue? Because some people, you said they are able to choose the language they want to talk to you in. Some people speak Uyghur. I guess you can understand very
Yeah.
well. How about the other ethnic groups, such as Kazakh or Kyrgyz? What do you do with that?
Okay, because like Channing, she can also understand Uyghur, so most of the interviewees they use Uyghur. And for Kazakh, because I was born in Xinjiang, and you may know that Kazakh and Tajiks, their not the Kazakh and Kyrgyz, their language is a little bit like we can understand that,
Okay.
and they try to speak it slowly. And for the Tajik, I have to mention that these Tajik workers, they are from the Shachur in Kashgar, so they speak Uyghur fluently. They just use the Uyghur language, and some workers like they're like they can speak the Han Chinese.
Niloufer, I understand in the report you asked these 70 interviewees basically 4 kinds of questions. Why do they come to inland companies? What are their living and working conditions? What is the significance of working inland for them? And what are their future plans? To the first question, for instance, why have they decided to come to inland to work? What are the most important answers?
I think the most important one is they came to work in Guangdong out of their own choice and free will. Like there are several reasons for them to came to Guangdong, such as the high salary and the natural environment, and some of them want to broaden their horizons with this opportunity, and some of them just want to give a better education atmosphere for their children. Like the reasons are different, but the main one is they came here out of their own choice.
How did you know that they, how does this work? Because I understand that, for instance, the companies would go to Xinjiang to hire people, and then they would be told there are these opportunities, and then they would sign up if they want, and then they would move to the place where the company is located and work. So who's organizing this kind of activity, and why would these companies go to Xinjiang to hire these people?
Okay, like in most of the cases, the local government will went to the companies first, so they will see if this is if the company is good, and if they can whether they can like guarantee all the rights of the workers if they go there, like the restaurant, because it is really important for the minority workers. Some of them, like most of them, are Muslims, so they should guarantee such things. The government will organize it, and then they ask the companies that can be selected, and then they came to Xinjiang and ask the local people like who want to go, and tell them what kind of salary they can get and what kind of job they will do, and also they will have some requirements to these people, like whether they can speak the Han Chinese or not, or the age and the health condition, and then they can like decide whether they will go or not.
Yeah.
And in most cases, some of the workers they have been worked in the inland companies several times. Like one girl, she first went to Qingdao, and then she thinks the work is not that suitable for her. She didn't like it. Then she asked one of her friends in Guangdong and decided to come to Guangdong. Like this kind of stories we heard a lot.
Yeah.
So it is.
Yeah. So help us understand exactly what is the government trying to do here. I mean, they are basically introducing the more developed coastal areas with the underdeveloped Xinjiang cities or villages, counties, and try to bring workers from those areas to the more developed coastal areas. What's the aim of doing all of that? Because there's a lot of work involved, right? You mean these companies travel?
Yeah.
And the Uyghur families will have to travel very long distance to be away from their family and friends.
Yeah, the first thing is the government try to provide a better chance or better job opportunities for the people in Xinjiang, because there are not that much job vacancies for them. And the other thing is the government is like try to select the companies that can give a high salary to the workers, because not all the companies can be selected. They have to provide like a good salary and welfare and something like that. And so the government is trying to be like as I see, is a like family member, like father or the mother. They help the children to find a better chance.
I see.
And one more thing is, I think, is what the government do is help the people to get a better opportunity.
I see.
Just like this kind of role.
The companies also have to hire minority cooks from Xinjiang, or people who know how to cook halal food, to prepare food for the workers. They also offer them 30 days of holidays, according to your research, to visit their relatives every year. Considering that this is a long journey for the workers, the companies also pay for their train tickets, sometimes flight tickets. So why did these inland companies hire workers from Xinjiang? And they seem to have to put a lot of extra effort to make sure that these people feel comfortable and feel welcome, and that they get the protection they deserve. Chen Ning.
Yeah, I asked the managers, they told to me, they think the workers from Xinjiang, they are very, very hardworking. And in Guangzhou, the workers, maybe they work in the factory today and they move tomorrow, but Xinjiang workers very hardworking and they are very stable. They want to stay in the factory. Some of them stay in the factory for 3 years. It's very important for a factory because the workers stay for a long time is suitable for stable for the factory, for the company.
I see. Niloufer, also reading the report, it seems to me that some of the workers expressed fear of losing their job. One of the interviewees in the report said this opportunity is very precious, and it's not like anyone who wants a job here can be employed, because inland companies pay workers better and the working conditions are good. We all want to work there. Help us understand that feeling. So if they are forced to work there, certainly they will not be afraid of losing their jobs.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, tell us a bit more about these stories that you hear.
Okay, so this is a woman, and she came to Guangdong 5 years ago with his husband and his children. One girl, she already went to the university, and the boy is still studying there. When she told us that when she came to Guangdong, his son is just came to the primary school, the first grade, and they decided to come because they want to ask the company if they her child, like her children, can study in Guangdong. And when they come, and the manager said, of course, we can help you to let your children to study in the school near factory. And then they have stayed there for 5 years. And because she is so worried that because she heard some of the news that a lot of companies who are using the workers from Xinjiang are being banned, and she is really worried about losing her job. When we go back to the hotel after the interview, she sent me a really long WeChat message and asked me if we know some news about the company, whether they will hire them the next year.
Yeah.
And I helped her to ask the manager, and the manager told us they are really worried if there is some ban, they can't use the workers from Xinjiang, because if there's some like punishment, it will not good to their companies. So she.
Yeah, you
but
talk
later
about.
I asked.
Yeah, it's interesting. You talk about this ban, which is mentioned by this woman and also mentioned by the manager. What kind of ban could that be?
Because the manager told us when the like every year they will to fill up some table that whether they use the worker in Xinjiang or is that the forced labor, like this kind of table, they have to fill it. And they every time they fill it, they told us that you can see we are not using the forced labor, and they came here with a free will. They have the same salary as everyone, and they work the same time as everyone. But when we fill this kind of table, we are still worried if we like whether we will get the punishment.
Who will punish them? Please excuse my curiosity.
Like, because their product, like some of their product will go to the like all over the world, and some like American or the European countries, if they like punish their products and that they can't sell them.
So basically,
so they really worry about that.
I see. Because so this is similar to the cotton that's produced in Xinjiang, although it is normal production. But because there are reports or allegations that these are produced using forced labor, so companies would boycott this Xinjiang cotton, and thus these companies who are producing these, processing these cotton will be suffering, will be punished for that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. It's like that. And one of the manager told us, like even the American like co-workers or the people they came to their company to see, and they know there is no forced labor, but they still worried, like even they don't use, and they will be punished.
Because they might be twisted, because nobody would believe what they say. Is that what the fear is?
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Yeah, so they really happy that we do this the field work, and they want us to show the truth, to show the solid evidence, and tell the world there is no forced labor in these companies.
Never mind, let's talk more about the living conditions, the working conditions that you have seen, that you have observed. In terms of religious practice, you know, people from Xinjiang, they are very often Muslims. Niloufer, have you asked these people about these questions, or have you seen or observed any facilities or any settings that they might be able to practice their religion, or they might not be able to practice their religion while working in these companies?
Absolutely, they can practice their religion beliefs. Like for example, in the factory, some of the women, they covered their hair with a scarf while they are working. And like in some apartments that we visited, they have the facilities to pray. And also on the wall there the like Muslim calendar that shows like which day is really important festivals, and which day they should pray like this. So there are some facilities like they can do that. And I asked some of the interviewees about like, well, they pray 5 times a day, and some of them told me, like, of course, when it is on the holiday and when they have the rest, and they will do 5 times a day, but sometimes because the work is too busy and they have to finish like in the working time, sometimes they will do it like afterwards because they can do it after the work. So they will like
Yeah.
2 times after work, and on holidays they can do the 5 times.
I see. Have you encountered examples of families which have to be separated, or people have to leave their children or husband behind because they want to work in these inland areas? How are they dealing with that, and how do they see such separation? Chengning.
I came across a couple of workers, a husband and wife. They come to the same factory, work together, and their children also come live with them from Xinjiang, and the family live together. And maybe some of the single worker, I mean the worker from his family, but without his children. He also wants his children come to Guangzhou to live with him, or take the exam and go to Guangzhou to study. Live with him.
What about future plans? You talked to the majority, you asked everybody these questions as well, Niloufer. What's the biggest plan for the great majority of the workers you talk to? Do they want to go back to Xinjiang, or do they want to continue to stay in these companies or move to other provinces in the coastal areas?
Like for almost half of the workers, they want to continue to work there, and about the 30%, they already earn the money they want, and so they want to go back to their hometown to start their own business. And also there are 23% of the workers, they plan to live in Guangdong province. After that, they want to permanently live there.
The Australian paper by the so-called think tank ASPI claims that companies on the labour transfer program are equipped with watchtowers, barbed wire fences and police guard boxes. And migrant workers of the company live in segregated dormitories with limited freedom of movement. They have no right to choose where to live and whom to live with. Chengning, what was your observation, and how big of a difference is what you just heard and what you saw during the investigation?
The sites we interviewed, there are basic security systems like any other factories, of course, no different than any other facilities. And of course, there are no watchtowers or the barbed wire fences or the police guard boxes. We didn't see that.
From an international level, or basically from a national level as well, I mean, people who migrate to different places to look for jobs is, is ordinary practice, right? Think about Chinese migrant workers over the past 3 decades. We've always had these kind of massive migration. During the year, people from countryside will come to big cities and work and save money, and then during the spring festival holiday, they go home. They are very often separated from their family, not by force, but by, the fact that they want to go to these places to make money, and they don't want to be bothered by the burden of having to raise their children as well. Of course, this has created some social problems, and yet what I want to say is migration of workers is actually within China a natural thing. In other parts of the world is also a natural thing. Niloufer, how do you look at the kind of controversy surrounding these workers from Xinjiang? Why have they captured the West's attention?
like as for me, it is so normal that the workers from Xinjiang, they came to work in Guangdong or other provinces. It is so normal, like personally for me, and also for my relatives, it is a normal thing. But for the Westerns, I think they just use this to get attention of the other world, because like for the minorities, it is not like fair to ask them to stay in Xinjiang and do not leave Xinjiang. You have to stay there like in your whole life. You have to work there. It is not fair. So I think this is just a way to get the attention. I don't know. I can't think any other reasons.
Chen-Ning, your last thoughts?
First of all, I really don't know why they catch these issues. But after I did the interviews, after I researched about it, I found that after the report was written by Andrew Zens, the companies lost a lot of bills. So I think maybe it's economy strategies, not just the human rights issue. In my opinion, I think it's just economic strategy.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Many thanks to my two guests, Niloufer Gayret and Chen-Ning, joining us from different parts of China. They're both visiting scholars of the Institute for Communication and Borderland Governance of Jinan University in southern China. With that, we come to the end of this edition of The Point with me, Liu Xin. As always, you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter using the handle Liu Xin in Beijing. Thanks for watching. You've got The Point.